Okay. Notes. So this I can go down. This I can close. Don't save. Everything else is fine. One note. So last week, status no demos last week. What did we talk about last week? Didn't it last longer? No, it was the triage. The triage lasted longer last week. We talked. Topic. So there is a pull request going on. This I checked, and there is nothing to do. Spec flow tests have been fixed completely. This, what was it? Oh, this was the question, and Zoltan said yes, so it was good to go. And we, I can't remember, Zoltan, your friend's name. M something, Mark maybe.
Mark.
Yeah, his issues have been triaged, and we answered on the issues, so I don't know where they're going on. I saw 2 blog posts from Bertrand and Daniel about spaces versus tabs, and but Daniel implemented as a pull request the changes, or maybe not as a pull request. Let's see. I think he pushed it.
I just pushed it, yeah.
Okay, and easier. On the dev branch, I see also that. Okay, let's look at the status. Orchard. This is not a status if there is not a page dedicated for this. Okay, status, demos. Anyone have demos to do?
Not this time, unfortunately.
Oh, that should be the work of the week, working for the next demos. Okay, so I show progress, demos, and we'll see a total status. So what happened in the meantime? Removing unneeded dataset extensions from tokens that could cause assembly loading or flood the errors. On. Not a branch. 19x.
1.9.3.
Moving unneeded diff.
The release branch. I actually tried to run the release branch and it was horribly slow, so that's why I noticed this. Not sure why it didn't came out before.
It was slow, you said? The what?
Yes, so I tried the source from the 1.9.3 branch, and this was horribly slow because it was flooding the logs with assembly loading errors, and this was behind it.
Okay. Change the way handlers are invoked in export and import. Correct. It was a pull request. You'll see the merge later. The idea is that instead of calling a for each on all the handlers to do the importing event, we just call this extension method, which is adding some logic to intercept, to try catch the exceptions and log them, and not fail the pipeline of handlers if one handler is failing. So if one handler fails to import, it doesn't break the rest of the import events. Same thing for all the other events in this method, in this class, in the content manager class. Something we could talk about actually when I see that, and now every time I see this invoke, I'm like, we should talk about it. So let's talk about it. I realize that in MVC6 in ASP.NET Core and ASP.NET MVC Core, there are filters and pipelines everywhere, like we do here. And what they do when they do something like invoke in a specific order, Okay, because these things, the handlers, are called in a very specific and deterministic order, meaning in our case based on module dependency. So if you depend on someone, you will be called after or before, I don't remember. What they do, though, is on the opposite event. So this is importing and this is imported. Okay, we always have this this logic to be able to have two steps and to do something after something else or before something else if you want. What they do is that for the reverse call, they also reverse the handlers. So that if you are called first, so if A is called before B on the ing event, B will be called before A on the ed event. Meaning we have A, B, and after B, and after A. See, so it goes back. It goes one way and it goes the other way around on the way back, like the Owin pipelines. So maybe, not for Orchard 1, because it will break everything, but maybe for Orchard 2, we could try to implement this logic when we pipeline events like this. I think that will be more logical. But yeah. Yes, I agree.
And what is really the idea behind this?
The idea is that
I mean, why are they doing this?
This is just the way it's implemented. So you know that. So when, let's say, you have a middleware one, okay, it calls next of which will you see what I mean? So it calls next, and after it calls middleware one end. Okay. And in the end, if next could be middleware 2, begin, rewrite it correctly, which itself calls next, but then after that it will be middleware 2.end, and then it will go back to middleware 1 end. This is how it behaves. So in the end, you have middleware 1, middleware 2 on this way up to the stack, and down it will be middleware 2, middleware 1.
Yeah, and this is appealing for middlewares, but in the case, for example, of handlers.
Of event, I understand. So should we re-implement everything like import async and provide the next handler, so expose the pipelining inside the event so that each implementation can decide what to do before, after, intercept, not intercept?
No, I don't think so. I think that would be tasking the handlers with an unnecessary responsibility of maintaining a chain, which they shouldn't know about, I think.
Okay.
I agree with that.
I also think that keeping this simple is the way to go.
Remove alias when item is destroyed, so adding an event when destroyed to delete the alias, which makes sense. This is weird that destroy doesn't call unpublished or removed. But if he found the issue, it means it doesn't. It's not called. Yeah. So fixing the reference to mono C# from NuGet. Pull request done at the triage. This is the same pull request we talked about. This one is for fixing. Well, it's removing dashes when we build version names of stuff, like if you have a content type and you create a new content type with a name which could conflict, instead of calling it -2, it will call it just content type 2. It's removing a dash, so it's just an update on you see, it was doing dashes, now it's removing a dash, just name plus version, foo1, foo2, foo3, because dashes are not supported actually in the alternates in this case. So updated the field, the default field for the gallery on 19x, which will be merged in 193 again. This way we make it explicit at least, no. Yes, it's using the new feed by default. So if you update to 193, it will use a new feed. No, it won't use a new feed. It won't use a new feed. It's just on a new setup. It will use a new feed. On an existing setup, it won't change the new feed. Okay. This way we don't break any one. The old field is still active, and the new setups will use a new feed. But any installation can decide to upgrade the old field to the new one by changing the URL to point to the new one. And before stopping the the current, well, the previous gallery service feed, we'll implement a redirection so that this URL will redirect to this one. So there is no disruption in the service. Sorry. Cleaned up and reformatted, and then Daniel pushed the reformatting changes, all the web configs, spaces, 2 of them per tab in this case. No, 4 of them. Yeah, this one are removed and this one are added. Okay, so 4 of them per tab. All the web configs, more web configs. Untabified module manifest, untabified module manifest, tabs, and now spaces. 4. Okay. Oh, it deleted the notes. Okay. So apparently it's Nick who pulled this one. Move implementation of culture condition to culture rule provider. So deleted localization conditions. Moved it to localization rule engine, culture rule provider. So new layer rules. So maybe they were incorrectly implemented, or maybe because of their refactoring of the conditions module. It looks good, so I trust him. Good. Questions on the changes? I'll do a final triage on Thursday, and then if nothing important is raised, I will start the deployment. So feel free to check 193 and 1.10 before Thursday to find any last minute issue, and then I will deploy everything. Did I miss anything here? We have meeting notes. No, I'm just taking notes. Yes, there will be a list of changes. What I do when I release, I go over every commit before the previous release and explain that in the release notes. If that was a question, this is why you see them on these pages. Release notes, view the release notes. You see what's new, blah, 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 blah. And same thing for the big changes, for the big versions. Okay, no questions? What else? No, not the demos directly. What are we missing? Is there topics? So release. Done. No questions for the release? Concerns? Oh, George. I saw him.
Hey, sorry, I have a question on the release. Can we put the release notes also on the GitHub release?
the bullet points.
Yeah,
Okay, one
I
sec.
don't know how complicated that would be or simple.
Copy paste.
Yeah.
Let me do something.
Or if it could be automated somehow, but yeah.
Yeah, it will be automated this way. It won't be automated, but it will be not forgotten. So update readme.md in GitHub. Copy. Just copy release notes. GitHub release. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
There is no save button, right? I can just close and that's it. Good. Then I summoned George / Sipke.
I'm here.
110 deployment module. Should I wait?
I don't think so. I think I'm about halfway through it right now, but there are a bunch of changes to the content management system, and
Okay.
we're teasing in all the recipe changes that Sipka and Daniel made. So I think if you're ready to go, I would just go ahead and we can make it 110.5 or 111. I was hoping to have a demo today, but I'm not quite ready yet. So
Why
maybe next week.
110.5? Why not 110.1?
It's fine with me. I mean, it's,
Okay, I'm always wondering why 5?
yeah. I mean, 110.1 is. I mean, or 111. It's up to you.
Okay. We'll see.
So yeah, I don't wait. I think because I basically Sipka and I were talking about it, and I forked off a branch off of the 110 branch and basically transferred all of the merge just got too hairy, so I just basically pulled the components over and am now rebuilding it in 110. So yeah, 110.1 is good for you guys. I'll put the branch up into GitHub when I have something that actually works, and you guys can take a look at the changes and decide if you think it's a 110.1 or 110.11
Okay.
or 1.11 release. But I can now deploy a content one way. I can't do it the other way yet. But it's not as bad as I thought it would be. So, but we're testing the other feature on our 1.9 branch, which we're about to launch. So it's a good time for us to just do the 1.10 installation. So whatever we find on 1.9, we'll make sure we put in 1.10.
Thank you. Great. So release. That's it. Done. So release after last triage on. Anything else? Topics I'm missing? So did we fix all the spec flow before? I don't see any commit here related to spec flows, but we fixed everything. Or maybe I skipped these changes. Maybe. So this one copying. Yeah, this was fixing the spec flows, and yes, fixing also this one, which is, yeah, we talked about it last week about the using UTC year instead of datetime now that that's it. Just to show you, everything is green, it's beautiful. So it also validates that on the dev branch 1.10, Daniel pushed the Rosin compilation of the views, so it also validates that these views are working. What else? That's about it. There were issues because of this, and issues because it was missing the conditions module in the spec for initialization. That was about it. The issue is that you never know when it's missing one. Just by experience, you know that when there is a new module, it needs to be added to the spec for module, otherwise it won't work, and you don't know why. There is no log for that. But that's okay. Now everything works. Everything is ready. Good. What else? Feel free to add some new topics to talk about if I'm missing something. I will do the demo. Okay, status on Orchard 2 then. Brochured. So last week I didn't show anything because I didn't work on it at all. It was just for the release and fixing all the bugs. And then I started again. So what I did, update editor returns a shape to keep invalid state. So mainly I worked on the content types module. Content types module being the one to edit content type definitions and settings for parts, adding fields, creating new types, things like that. So first, some updates to the theme. Something in the Gulf file because just logging. So it's just updating the theme with more CSS things. The admin theme, making it more beautiful than what it was. Nothing important here. This one, adding model validation sample. Oh, this one was just to show, and I can show you, to ensure that when we edit a content item, we can display the validation messages. Not in this case, but for instance, yes, this will be a good example. So this example is about, you see, writing validation message of the thing that we want to validate. So this is validation message at the field level, and there is also a validation summary at the page level. Okay, just to ensure it was working. Yep.
Is that also localized? So is it a T-string or not yet?
Yes, it will. Yes, it's part of the next one. Yep.
Okay, so not yet. All right.
Well, yes. I mean, not at this point in blue, but at that point in blue, yes. You see what I mean?
see also.
Okay. So yes, it's done. So this I can show how it looks like. Page title construction, and I think there was a comment from Christian about it. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to implement a module and fixing everything that is missing to build this module. Okay, this is a way to ensure we can build modules. So I was like, okay, we need to render the title, and because of the experience I had with the title, the previous experience I had with Orchard 1 on the title management, at some point, maybe you remember, I mentioned that, so today we have the iPage title builder, okay, which is also available in the base view. So there is an helper to get it from the base view. You can get the iPage title builder from everywhere, but also from the view. And the thing that I missed based on the feedback I saw on GitHub and Codeplex, some people, for SEO reasons, wanted to inject the tags, for instance, at the beginning of the title, or something at the end of the title, to be able to handle where in the title it will be added. Okay, I hope you remember these things. And so what we had in Orchard 1 is just a way to add title parts. So you can just add a new string to the final title, and anyone in the request any module in the request can add a new title part, meaning a new piece to the title, a new string to the title, and they will be joined and separated by dashes. Okay, but there is no way to say I want to inject it at the beginning of the title or at the end of the title or anywhere. I don't care. They will be injected in the order they are called. So what I did with this check-in is I created the same iPage title builder as in Orchard 1, but with one or two new overloads, which is add title part like before, but with the position, which will be 0 by default. So same thing that we use in placement everywhere, the same logic, the same flat position comparer. We can now do add title part with one string or multiple strings with positions. And by default it will be 0. And the generator is like Orchard 1, is like join everything which has been added to give me the title. Okay, and this way, when we go in a view, I can show it to you here, it's better. Which one is this one? Edit.css. So this usage is declared on the base Razor page now, render title part, and it takes a string, okay, and optionally position. So I don't know why I use it this way here, but well, that's the way it's done. So render title part will itself call, oh, sorry, you have access to title, okay? Dot, you can say add title parts and generate title, and this thing will just return a void and add a title part. That's it. But this one, render title part, I don't recall how it was called in Orchard 1, but we had the same thing. Maybe I should keep the same name. Render title part will add a title part and generate a title to be rendered in this page. Okay? At this point. And this thing is also called, for instance, in the layout from the admin, I assume. Yes, just, you see, title.add title part, just to add Orchard before everything. That's my decision here in this case. And then in the title tag, generate title. Everything here could have been done in one call to render add title part with this thing, which will add and render. So the main difference here to note is that there is positioning for title parts. So if you create a tags module, you will be able to say the tags come before in the title. This is important for SEO optimization, search engine optimization. Questions?
Yep. Well, one question, Sebastian. It would be nice if there was an API on the title helper that you showed also to reset the whole stack of parts from any arbitrary view, so that you could sort of override whatever's been added by the outer shapes. I think that's something that's a need that we ran into when we had an SEO need for some site that we built.
Okay.
Something like that, yeah.
Clear. Makes sense, actually. Okay, it's added. Thank you.
Awesome.
Another question, comment on that? Good. You like it? I assume you like the first one. The second one is even better. So this one is good. This one, nothing interesting, just changes, nothing related to that. Just ensuring that I didn't miss anything in the base page. Nope. That's good. So then, migrating Orchard and content type. So this commit is just copy-pasting the full module from Orchard 1 to Orchard 2. But not just about it, because I didn't know this module was so huge. It's crazy. Look at that, all these views. I thought I would never end with that. Well, it's not done yet. So I copy-pasted the module, and as I explained, well, first issue, it's using authorization manager everywhere. So now I implemented some basic authorization management in Orchard 1 based on MVC core. The idea is that this thing, I might show it. Is this the last commit? No, yeah, this is the last commit. So permission requirement, it's completely new in MVC core. So a requirement is like our authorization handler in Orchard, which is called also authorization handler in MVC core. Here we just define a permission requirement. So we can ensure that someone has access to something based on a permission. This is how we do it in Orchard, permissions. But you can add any other authorization handler based on age requirement or location requirement. For us, I just need a permission requirement. This permission requirement will ensure that the user is not anonymous. Actually, in this case, I'm saying if he's anonymous, yes, go on. I'm checking if he's administrator, like site owner. In this case, I also say good to go, and then we check for the permission. Okay, finally. This one is just a shortcut so that because I don't have any authentication right now, it will work, okay? Because I'm anonymous, it will work. But I also check that this thing works and this thing works. So I remove these lines when we have authentication. I created a fake user filter, which is an MVC filter so that it will inject a fake user with the admin name and administrator role, okay, in the pipeline. Later authentication will do that. Something you haven't seen though is this thing. This is new scoped component. This attribute, I used it because I needed to inject filters, MVC filters in the DI. And how we did it in Orchard One is by creating a base class filter provider, which would be detected by the DI and inject all the filters and resolve also the constructor-based injection for the filters we'll create. So instead of inheriting from a base class here, you just inherit from the default MVC interfaces, and you add the attribute scoped component, meaning, okay, register this instance for the service iFilter metadata, which is the one that MVC looking for when you want to inject filters in the DI. So this is new scope metadata, scope component. There is also singleton component and transient component. This also could be used if you don't want to implement iDependency. Okay, in this case, so it will work the same, attribute or interface, up to you. But for filters, I think it's better because we can't implement iAuthorization filter and iDependency. It's easier to put an attribute here than creating a base class for that and then a base class for everything that has to be injected into MVC. Now we have the same attribute for everything. And this was done last week, I think. Then view localization support. So view localization, so in MVC core, so in Orchard One, we have localized strings and iLocalizer. Okay, in MVC core, they did almost the same thing. They created a localized string too, and they created 3 interfaces for localization. We have just iLocalizer in Orchard One. They created 3 interfaces based on what you want to localize. They created iString localizer, iHTML localizer, and iView localizer. The difference is how you want to render things from your localized assets. They are using the same localized assets, but they will have different behaviors when you localize the string you are passing to the localizer. The idea is that when you resolve iString localizer, the localized string won't be encoded. This is just string to string. If you use iHTML localizer, there will be a .html method that will let you actually encode the result that is localized. No, that is assuming that what you are localizing is HTML, so it won't encode it. Okay, so you can pass tags inside the localized string. And there is iView localizer, which will reuse the current view context the view context to scope the localized string to a resource file based on the view. Okay, so they use the same thing as the same notion of context as in Orchard One, which is the location where you use the localized string will impact which resource file will be used. So when we resolve iLocalizer, it's based on what class resolved iLocalizer to define which file contain the localized string. In MVC core, this is the same thing based on the class it has been injected into, or if it's a view, it has to load which template defined it. So they're using the iView localizer. And to be able to use iView localizer in MVC6, you need to register it like add view localizations. iView localization. There is an add localization which will add a string localizer and HTML localizer, but to be able to use the view localizer, you need to do add view localization. That's what I did. Then let me show you how it's done. So I updated also the base view to define the T like we have in Orchard One, but the difference between Orchard and MVC core in the localizer is that it's not a delegate. It's just an interface which defines an index. And in this case, it's used this way. It's not T as a method to call, it's T with an indexer. Otherwise, it's exactly the same thing. Okay? And you can also pass parameters to that. and this returns a localized string. But a localized string, in their case, has an implicit conversion operator to string, which means you can call action link now with the localized string directly. And because it's a view localizer, I assume it will be encoded correctly. I have to try how it works, but when I tried localization out of the Orchard context, it was working fine. We could do everything we wanted. Because there is behind that, there is a .html if you want to return a raw string. I will check that. But that's how it's called. So this is the same thing. Question on this thing? I see this blinking. Didn't we try having implicit conversion to string? I don't remember that. I know it's a pain today to use string-based extension methods because we have to call toString and then we lose some stuff.
Or .text. But yeah, we did try it, and implicit conversion to string is kind of difficult to write, if not impossible. So I'm curious about the specifics of their implementation. Maybe
they solve it by having different implementations like iHTML localizer and iString localizer with the .html. So maybe it was not about the technical difficulty, but the fact that there was a flow in the design. I can ask Luis. Yeah. But, Luis will know.
Yeah.
He made the two, so he sure knows why. Okay. Refactoring display manager. Oh, this one. This one is crazy because I did it once, and once again here, refactoring display management. It's crazy. So I tried to be clever. I almost succeeded. It works, but so the idea is that I try to refactor in two ways. I try to refactor to be able to reuse the display management. Here in this context, display management is display composition. So in Orchard, you just say, in Orchard 1, you have the content management, and you can say build display, and you pass a content item. And the result of the build display is one shape to render. It's beautiful. It's one shape, but internally, all the drivers have been called to take part into the rendering of this content item. And position micro shapes everywhere in the main shape. Okay. And this is in a content management assembly. So in Orchard 2, I tried first to extract this display logic into another module, which is orchard.displayManagement. And there is also orchard.contentmanagement.display, which will specialize the main. Sorry, why am I not? Quit. I quit. What did I say? Yes, and there is a content management.display management, which will specialize the generic display logic for content items. So two things here, having it separated and also being able to reuse the display management for something else than content items. And I will show you why. So to do that, I did many refactorings, but trying to keep the same logic and making it in a way that we can reuse a lot what has been done for other parts. I will show you. Let me show you. So the idea, I will just comment this one, otherwise it will complain when I try to compile. I don't want to save anything here. So now, if I go to content management, there is nothing for display. There is Orchard content management display, and there is display management. So all the handlers for the build shape context, splitter context are now in Orchard display management. So this thing doesn't know anything about content items. It just knows about shapes and how to render things into big shapes. So we could reuse that for any project. So we have let me say display handler, iDisplay driver. No, this is not the display. Oh, this is wrongly. Now I will start with the bottom. This one, display management here. So first, the build display for a content item and build editor and update editor, they are no more in the content manager. They are in the iContent item display manager. Okay, so if you want to display a content item, this is the interface to use, and you just say display this content item with these properties. Done. And this guy is implemented by the default content item display manager, which inherits from base display manager. This is the one that you can reuse, and this is where the logic to look for the stereotype of the content item and to call into all the handlers will kick in. So the handler, which is an implementation of iContent display handler, is a way to take part into rendering a content item. Okay, an iContent display handler, if you implement it, will let you, I should cast it to a content item, but that's fine. An iContent display handler will let you update the shape that will be rendered in the end for a content item. Okay, one of these implementations is this thing. Okay, and you see there is no logic. You just say, oh, I can, no, not this one. Crap, where is this one? Yes, this one, the content display coordinator. So this one is the first implementation. It will just look for all the implementation of iContent display drivers. So like a display driver, like a driver in Orchard 1. Let me show you one. For instance, this one, which will, when you implement it, you have to implement display, edit, and update, like in Orchard 1, and you get a content item, and you just return an iDisplay result. And you also get all the helpers to do combine and shapes, to return shapes. So you just have to implement content display driver to be able to take part into content item rendering. Okay, so here it's not a content part, just, okay, I want to render this content item also, because it has a test content part A, but it could be about any constraint you want. Okay, so this is content display driver. And what I'm not done with is that there will also be content part display drivers that will be specialized for parts and for fields. They are just different implementations for content display coordinator, which will look for specific content field and content part display driver to take part into a content item rendering based on the logic, which is, does the content item have a field or a specific part? Then it will call these drivers. But this is just a specialized implementation for fields and parts. In the end, the content display manager doesn't know about that, doesn't know about fields part. It just says, I just want someone to render a content item. You could either intercept this content item by yourself, or use a simpler thing by implementing a content part driver or content field driver. Just a way to do that. That's it. So so everything here is in content management display when it's about displaying fields and parts and content items. But otherwise, in display management, all the base implementations are there, like the shape result, which will return an iDisplay result and have all the combine and location aware. There is no notion of content management here. So this way we can build shapes from other things than content items. And why I did that is because I was working on the content types module. And the content types module, let me show you, it should work. I think it. So the content types module, if you recall in Orchard 1, when you list the content types, you can edit a content type. And when you edit a content type, you will see, you will be able to add parts and then add all the part settings. So every part has settings, and every part setting has a custom display and edit thing. So localhost, going on the home page first, and all these settings, they have also templates, and they are driven by a completely different logic that what drives the composition of the content item in Orchard 1. So what I try to do here is reuse the composition logic for display management also in the content types, just as a proof of concept. It's not yet done. I'm still using the old thing, but I was just abstracting away the concepts first. So this is the default home page, and then we have content types admin list. So this is the list of the content types. What I try to do while I'm migrating the thing is just removing, well, cleaning the HTML so that it can be themed more easily. We'll see how it works. I'm just reusing Bootstrap concepts, very simple concepts here. List and buttons in each list item. Okay. So we have create new article, which will be a new content item, but it's not implemented yet. I just kept the link because it was in Orchard 1. List items, same thing, it's not implemented yet. Edit, though, is there. So we can do edit type. Maybe I broke everything, but it was working at some point. So you will recognize the view, edit content type, which will list all the available, these are the settings. So it shows that it works because this thing is a setting editor, the default one that will render the settings for the content type main properties: creatable, listable, draftable, secureable, stereotype, and then the list of fields and the list of parts. Here I just have one title part. It's just a metadata part actually. Add fields, add parts. If I click on add fields, you will see the field view. It doesn't work because I don't have any field type. Add parts should not work because I don't have any part and it fails. Delete, save. You can create a new type. It fails. I broke everything during my refactoring. It was working yesterday, so I will fix it again. Need a reference, I assume. But yeah, the menu is there based on the admin menu from the module. So it's, oh, you see, blah has been created. That was just some weird thing. So if I edit blah and I say delete, blah is gone. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. And it's also very much easier to update because you just take the document with the content definition record, and if you want to hack into the system, now you just update this JSON document and you get everything. Oh, let me show you. You see the type article, display name, the settings directly here, and it's just a JSON document. You can put anything you want here. Content type part definition records, so the parts which are attached and then their settings for this type, the fields to this part, and so on. So everything is there. It's very easy to create a new type even from the JSON document. I tried when I didn't have the editor first. So that's it. So yeah, the goal is that when we do edit on a content type and parts and fields, all the settings, they are rendered, all the setting editors, they are rendered using the same logic as the display part management. Okay. Yeah. If you have implemented some settings for Orchard 1, you know that it's different. You have to create a definition template somewhere in a specific folder. You have to create an editor event. And so it's a, yeah, I don't know why it's this way, but I think it will be much better to use the same logic everywhere. That's it. And yeah, that's about the demo for today. Content types, refactoring, and now I'm working on importing the title part because it's a very simple part to be sure that we can create content part drivers. In this case, it's just to define the new display text metadata, that we can create drivers for display, so display drivers, migration for the title part. So yeah, that's a way to validate that everything is working and that content types can be manipulated and that I can also create content items. So this is the next step. And then I assume if we can create content types dynamically, manage parts and content items, it's a good validation for the full system. Can play with that after. Questions? I talk too much. No questions? No comments?
Looks quite nice. I would just have one question about the admin theme. Why did you start writing a new one?
Oh no, I didn't start writing a new one. It's very
So
basic. It's a new one, but I don't want to. I tried. I just want something to display here. I just created menu item links there. This is the same thing. It's not theming. It's just writing HTML here. So yeah.
Okay, so it's just for testing.
It's just for testing. I don't want to be blocked by working on the theme, and yeah, it's another kind of work. And the only thing I did, let me show you. So there's a theme for sure, but you can't call it a theme. So I'm validating the assets pipeline too this way, and the styles, where is that? Yeah, so what I have right now is just defining the font. There, I want there. And also want to validate that we can do things like this. I have an action bar, like this in Bootstrap. Okay, so I just did that action bar, and that's it. I defined the hint to have the same thing. Just define that the validation summary errors from MVC were red. And this, I can remove it. I'm not even using it anymore. So I just using Bootstrap right now. And toolbar is just for this thing. So there is admin toolbar so that we can reuse whatever it is in the CSS. It will be called admin toolbar in the theme. So we can have something like this.
So speaking of admin themes, I've noticed some commits and pull requests flashing by once in a blue moon. Seem to have to do with the new admin theme that we're building. Is there any status report on that work, maybe from Sipke or someone else who's working on it?
Simon was working on it. Sipke,
yeah, Simon's been actively working on that. He's been submitting pull requests. I've been pulling them in. I have not been working on it myself due to other things that I have to do. So there's the status is it's getting there, but not quite done.
We asked Sipke to. Oh, I could get his email, I assume, from Eventbrite. Does anyone have the email from Simon? Just to ask him to show it during a meeting?
Sure, yeah. Would you like me to ask him to do a demo next meeting?
Yes, you can. Okay. Loop me. We can force him to. If he can't do the time, maybe he can record something or give us some feedback to know if we can pull everything, merge everything, and it's done.
Sure.
Oh, something also. I had a meeting with the Halo team because they are using Orchard extensively. So I was asking for feedback for Orchard 1 and 2 to see what we can change. And it's funny because the issues they had and they solved is how we do it in Orchard 2 actually. I mean, what they are doing is, so their issue is mainly that they have many layers of content relationships. So they are managing, for instance, the assets of the Halo game for the different experiences that they provide for Halo, because as you might know or not know, the Xbox content for Halo is driven by the same content management in Orchard than the website and the other assets they have on the web or everywhere else. So they manage their content in Orchard and they provide it using web APIs. And every client calls the web API endpoint to say, oh, give me all the, I don't know, the player name, the characters in the game, and maybe their equipment and things like that. So they have lots of relationship, like a character could have a list of items, which could have a list of colors, which could have a list of, I don't know, many things like this. So when they call for something like that, with Orchard 1, it will do many queries on the system because all is lazy loaded, everything is lazy loaded, and lots of joins everywhere, plus the versioning, it's crazy. So what they do is they actually index the full thing into another table containing the JSON document with everything they need. So they denormalize the data to have a JSON document with all the parts and the fields inside, even the related content. Not the related content items sometimes. They just have all the content items in big JSON documents that they can load, even lazy. And yeah, and this is actually what we do in Orchard too. So I had some good feedback from them about what is their current issues and what is also good for them today. So that was interesting. I have more details if you want, but later, not publicly like this. I can explain. Well, nothing is private. It's just we don't have time to talk about all their little issues they have. You also have your issues, and that's why you are here to talk about them. Yep. Questions?
Yeah, one question regarding the Orchard gallery. That question was posted on Coplex, I think, or GitHub, regarding user creation. I was wondering, what is the reason users can't register or request a new password?
The reason was that I wanted to be sure there was no major issue with the gallery before enabling that.
Okay, is that still something?
I just need to enable it.
Right.
So I will.
Okay, cool.
I'm not sure I have access with that account. This is the personal account. I need to log in with the admin account and enable it. So that's it. I will enable it now.
Awesome.
The gallery works fine, so we'll see. And I need to change this thing to get the sort order right, to get the new ones. There is something like this. It works. And I'm sure there is a descending something like that. Descending. No, there is something. I need to check. It's there. It just needs to be the default. Crap. No more questions? Good then. So, see you on Thursday. Thanks everyone.
See you later, guys.
Bye, everyone.
See you.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.